Good evening. We will call our Monday, June 8th council meeting to order. Okay, thank you.
Council members, Mayor, fellow Americans, I have asked for oversight of the police department for many years, relating to events where officers stood by while threats were conveyed in their presence and did nothing. While they made statements such as, "Do what you need to do, we'll just come back with body bags," while they violated constitutional rights based upon false 911 reports, and then took no accountable actions, pressed no charges for those false reports. All of these events were derivatives of friends within the police department, which only highlights corruption in the police department and questionable hiring and vetting practices. The top-down approach from mayor, city manager to police chief has only stifled decent Americans that wear a badge to do the right thing. The bottom line is, if you were born and raised here and have friends in city departments, you can get away with whatever you want. A city where city management and council members, for their oversight and protection of citizens, have failed miserably. Losing evidence, obscuring investigations, and reports that end with statements from the police department, such as North Carolina state law says we don't have to tell you. These are things that governments are overthrown for doing. Mayor Colvin, your administration has set the standard for double standards, lowered the ethical bar, and played the Vietnam limbo with the livelihood of decent Americans. Double standards is the only takeaway at the moment. Your police department policies need to change. You are responsible for everything that happens or fails to happen in the city. The city council is the first line of defense to ensure that happens. For reference, you participated in a protest with hundreds of other Americans in the city, all of which violated the COVID-19 maximum group numbers, social distancing, and every other pandemic guideline issued by county, state, and federal agencies, and then canceled 4th of July festivities due to COVID restrictions. That's not all American. And you wonder why the term Vietnam hangs around and is still relevant. As illustrated by the protests and future dialogue, citizens have to seem to burn down buildings, loot stores, and block main roads in the city in order for your administration to do the right thing. This city is full of Americans, men and women, who deserve one standard, not two or three, not standards based upon the social movement or the ethnicity or religion of the people. The people of this city deserve better. It shouldn't be to find better standards you have to move to a better city. This city should be better. Your admin should be better. Your police department management needs to be better. All the events I outlined, I have video of. Mayor, pending any questions, the floor is yours.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Clerk?
Our last speaker of this evening is Mr. Rashad Everett.
Mr. Everett.
I am here for the CRB, the Citizens Review Board, and the Internal Affairs to explain their failures. In the Collaborative Reform Initiative, there was a finding in 34. The finding 34. The Fayetteville Police Department media releases and press conference has not been consistent with the aftermath of officer-involved shooting. Well, here in recent times, we're seeing that the chief of police and also you, Mayor Colvin, is partaking in unfactual information that you are relaying to the media. We were cited in that in 2015 as Fayetteville as a city. I think it needs to stop. It needs to come to a head. Also, in the body-worn camera operating manual, 3.24.5 states that actions requiring mandatory recording. Section 5, arrest, detainments, or protective frisk. Section 6, warrantless searches of individuals, buildings, vehicles.
Mr. Everett, you still there? What's going on with the audio, y'all? Mr. Everett? Mr. Everett, can you hear us?
And Mayor, if you would like, we can try to call him and get him back if we can.
All right, well,
Can you try to call him? And if we...
Is he back on?
Hello?
Okay, we'll start your time over, sir. I don't know what's going on with the audio.
Okay, and what was the last part that you heard?
Mandatory recording of body cams, I think.
Okay, so in Section B, it states that if there is a doubt in the officer's mind whether a situation should be recorded, the officer should opt to record the event. That has been an issue in internal affairs where on many cases that I've been dealing with lately, but that the officers have been cutting off their cameras. And we as taxpayers want to know why that is so. Why are we funding the body-worn cameras if they're simply not going to keep them on, or they're going to cut them on when it's feasible to them, or when they're doing damage, they'll cut them off. I'd like to also state facts. Detective Kim, while waiting for a search warrant, came into the kitchen and I took part in eating snacks and drinks. We'll also talk about Detective Matthews. Detective Matthews, I assisted with searching mainly an SUV in the backyard of nothing and found nothing of significance before the search warrant arrived. Sergeant Durham left the scene to get drinks and food from the detectives, and I grabbed the grocery bag and brought it into the kitchen from Sergeant Durham and took part in eating of the same. That would constitute a Fourth Amendment, and not only a Fourth Amendment violation, which is a Third Amendment violation we clearly don't hear about, which is quartering soldiers, where soldiers illegally enter themselves into people's living quarters and act as uniformed policemen. This is a problem, and it's even more than a problem that internal affairs, that there is rumors that are going around internal affairs that these officers, nothing happened to them, and they were not cited of any police misconduct. And that means that it's clear that your management of the police department is allowing your officers to break American constitutional rights, and you guys are standing behind it. This is an issue, and I hope that you address it very soon, because if you're not, you're just going to be having to put a budget to pay out a lot of lawsuits. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. All right, sir.
Yes. So I would like to make some comments that would direct the council for budgeting purposes for this upcoming year. First one I'd like to start with is planning for COVID-19 as it looks in 2020 and 2021. Right now, our detention center in Cumberland County has the highest total of COVID cases in any detention center in North Carolina. That is unacceptable. We sent notices to each and every person that's on the screen, each and every representative that's on the screen, to pay attention to that and have an aggressive mitigation plan in place. None was in place, and now lives are at stake, at least 33. There's no testing that's going on for anyone that is asymptomatic. There are no masks for anyone that other than staff, and there's no contact tracing. So I strongly urge that you plan for what that looks like in the year ahead, and take aggressive action on the part of your constituents to save lives. Just a couple of blocks from where you sit right now. Have a heart and have some compassion, and act on the part of the people that you represent. Second thing is oversight. The other speakers already hit on it, but we need oversight now. Right now, this is the largest social justice protest movement in world history. In world history, our leaders are strangely silent with anything other than photo ops and gestures. Right now is a time for action and solid policy reform that moves us towards change, not just in Minneapolis, but in this city as well. We've already requested, we've already demanded oversight for months and months. It's beyond time for you to act concretely on oversight. We suggest that you budget for the hire of a director of a police community review authority to start the process in place. That is somebody with the JD, the jurisprudence doctorate, that can get the process started and give you the standards for what a board should look like. We also recommend that you hire at least 2 investigators that can act on behalf of people in investigations of police misconduct. And lastly, for budgeting purposes, we ask you to look at demilitarizing the Fayetteville Police Department. Being able to look at them and see what looks like a special ops squad with NVGs, with semi-automatic rifles, with full kit, with the same thing that Councilman Davis and I would see in Afghanistan, it's unacceptable. And we have a chance, as the rest of the world is saying we need to change our police practices and our justice system, we have a chance to change that in the city. So if you spend money, it should not be on militarizing our police. It should be on resources like education, like health services, and things that actually benefit our community and prevent us from seeing some of the effects of mass incarceration and from the things that we've been plagued with in the Jim Crow South. Lastly, I'd just like to say that we need you at this moment to recognize what the citizens need and stop standing in silence, stop going to these photo ops, and give us solid, concrete movements towards change on justice reform. I'm not the only one that's noticing this, but I will beat the drum until the council recognizes it, until our leadership starts acting with some aggressiveness and joins this movement that has been global. And I appreciate your time. We will continue to speak.
Thank you, sir.